What's up, everybody? How's it going? What's up? Oh, let me go back to the comments. Tom is here. What's up, Tom? I'll for sure buy you an ice cream, man. That sounds great. Do a barrel roll. I did not play Lilat Wars. I did like there was a moment in time where I was very into Star Fox. I was very much captivated by Star Fox. I still remember playing the first one for the Super Nintendo. Yeah, Super Nintendo was the original Star Fox, right? And I remember renting the game, 3-day rental from Tommy K's video. Yep, good time. Star Fox 64 was good. I like the. I also, to tell you the truth, I also kind of found the dinosaur game fun, where Fox had like a hot blue fox Amazon girlfriend. That was fun. Wasn't her name like Crystal or something? I don't know. It seems like a name for Slippy the dinosaur was. Oh no, Slippy the toad. Who's the dinosaur? He had a little like Triceratops looking dude there. I remember that game. That was a fun game. Star Fox Adventures. Wasn't it like originally not a Star Fox game, and then they were like, this dinosaur puzzle title isn't working well. Like, how can we brand this so that it'll work? Star Fox Adventures. Fox is going to lose his blaster. There are going to be two fighter levels, and then he's not going to be in the ship at all. And then he's going to crash, and he's going to do a bunch of dinosaur planet stuff with a staff. And there's a water temple level that's terrible, just like in Zelda. Yeah. Good times. I almost did. I didn't though. I didn't. No camera issues. We are good to go. How are we doing on that close? Let's see. Let's bring it up. We want GameStop. Oh, hilarious if we go all the way back to 20. Oh, we are too. This is so fun. It's so like it really does become laughable. It really does become laughable. Just like every day. What did we open at? I think we opened below 20, or what were we? Our open was 1995. 1995. Maybe. I would certainly like that. I would certainly like to run and recover and start like going up and down again rather than just down. That would be great. Because this isn't even really sideways. It's still down. We didn't get a lower low today, so that was nice. First day we haven't had one of those in like 2 weeks. I would say it would be funny if we close under 20. That would be so wild. Yeah, really, if we close under 20, Like I said, pre-market today. That's going to be, yeah, that's going to be greater than 99% of all call OI will be out of the money. Like all of the calls, all of the calls will be out of money. Will be out of the money for November OPEX, which is wild. Seth, yeah. They destroyed the PMO, which makes me bullish because what other option do you have? Yeah. Let's take a look at daily PMO. Daily and weekly, we can take a peek at. Yeah, we fell below that PMO trend line. We're still just straight down. Classic. I mean, honestly, there just isn't that much momentum in general. But when do we hit this level? That's the thing. When do we get down there? We're not close. I'll say that. What if we Sheboygan? Shaboopy, 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 the girl that's hard to get. Shaboopy, 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 but you can win her yet. I hate that song. Why would you ever call a girl that? I don't know any time in history that like any woman would have been flattered to be called that name. There's like I don't know. There's no iteration of the English language where shapoopy sounds cute. It doesn't. It sounds bad. 100% how it sounds. Cheers, Agent GB1. Thanks for dropping in. Joni, it would be so cool if we did that. Maybe we do. It does look like it's trending down pretty steadily. Honestly, I would be. I'm like I start to root for like really really obvious manipulative signs. Like if you get if we get like 3 0% days in a week, like that'd be a cool thing. I can't say I've seen that before. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Like if we just close at 2040, it'd just be like, meh. But if we get another 0% day this week, if we close at 1995, come on. Come on. I know which one I'd prefer. Oh, now I understand the emojis there to do the wave. You got me. You did. It did work. Wow. That's so funny. I just came in. I just saw the emojis. The wave worked. Yeah. My man. Yes. 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 Mint chocolate chip would be cool. I could do some mint chocolate chip. It is. It is. What was I thinking about this week? I think I mentioned it in video earlier this week, but I was taking a look at some of our monthly stuff, like some of our monthly bottom finder stuff, which was very interesting. So if we go way out, like in these moments, right? I think this I mentioned multiple times, right? Roaring Keys mentioned this, like the idea of zooming out. This has got to be the most unique chart for a stock ever. So if we bring up Bottom Finder, some very interesting stuff pops up here on the monthly. So obviously, like way back here, I mean, there's this. So there's some wild stuff going on here. But if we go back, um, and look at the monthly, GME has had, like, when we see these, so going back to even like '09, right? '09, we got a little run on a monthly bottom finder signal, but it was pretty consistent there. This one that went up into the red though and flashed a signal back in July of 2012. We got the signal, this particular signal, before we got the 1213 squeeze. So the 2013 squeeze right here was preceded by, I mean, now we have Altimeter's bottom finder, but right, so this is measuring a bunch of macro stuff. This is a proxy for a bunch of different macro stuff relative to the price of GME. So yeah, we got this sign here. Next month this closed, and then this thing blasted. Right. So this was a big run. So if you bought in August and held through to October of the next year, you went on quite a run there, right? That was $14 up from $4. So that was basically 250% move over a year and a half. That's pretty cool. Then of course we had the long sell-off, and we had the mother of all moves happened in 2018, May of 2018, and then it snapped shut. But then we kept going down for a whole year, and it wasn't until June of 2020 that we finally got another signal. And it looks like maybe this thing back in, right, whatever happened here back in 2018 didn't really come to fruition until 2 years later in 2020. But something happened here in 2020, and then we started to, move up from there. So, but what's really interesting is we did get one of these signals back in June 2020 that preceded the sneeze. I mean, again, the reason I think the sneeze was so big was because of this nonsense back here, and not because of this signal. But nonetheless, this signal here in June did seem to kick it off. Interesting. We didn't get another signal on the monthly, really anything on the monthly, until April of last year. So what I would say is, if anyone is on the lookout, right? If you're on the lookout, if you're trying to figure out, when is Roaring Kitty going to come back? When are we going to see, big stuff like we saw back in, back in 2021? When are we going to get, the Requel 3.0 or something like that? When are we going to get that stuff? What's that going to look like? And I would not be surprised if we have to essentially wait until we get another signal of that kind, until we get a monthly signal of that kind. Are we close to anything like that? I wouldn't say. Well, we're kind of getting there. Like, it's not nothing, right? We can see we've got a little bit of Lady Gobble action there with this thing separating. So there is some divergence. So the monthly indicator right now is being disturbed. It's about where we were. Yeah, which is another thing I pointed out. Bottom finder level right now is essentially where we were back in October, November of 23. But I think really, in order for it to maybe flash again, I mean, that 18 level. I think that's why I mentioned that earlier. That 17.99 level to go down and touch that. I mean, might get this to move right. I'm not exactly sure if price wise we'll really have to do that kind of a movement. Obviously, another signal that cued in the return there was, we went down and we touched the back in 2024, right? April 2024, we touched the 200-month moving average, which is an interesting thing to behold. So, just zooming out, taking a look at that stuff, realizing, okay, maybe the hyper big magnitude stuff, maybe what we want to be watching if we want to anticipate this type of stuff is to check and see, okay, what's going on out on the monthly. And I would say even if we don't get a bottom finder signal, um, if for some reason they take us down to 18, there would my estimation would be there'd be either one of two things will happen. Either if we do see something like that, we would bounce up pretty hard back into the mid 20s area, is my guess. That's number one. Number two, if it doesn't hold, and for whatever reason they're somehow able to take us below that, I have to imagine that triggers a bottom finder signal. In which case, the magic cat is coming back, and he's going to blow us up. He's going to help us blow up. That's my thought. So, especially with those deeper marks. So that's looking at our monthly. If we zoom out a bit, weekly, we're very, very close to a bottom finder signal on the weekly. Last time we got one of these was right before we started our Q2 earnings run, which is nice. Prior to that, the last time we had any, see, this is again what's very interesting to me. The time prior to August that we had a bottom finder weekly signal this high was February of 2024, and it didn't send off the little spike thing there. We had a bunch of this. I mean, this is nuts. Again, very, very odd. Monster signal here. Monster signal in November of 2023. Monster signal in the week of November OPEX. Monster signal on the weekly. Little guy here, weekly for August 25. All right. Monster signal back in November 2023. We're doing something very similar right now, but barely a little lady gobble opening there. I mean, she's doing her thing. She's opening up a little bit. Right? Kind of the widest we've seen in a while. But she needs to get a little bit higher. A little bit more divergence here, I think. So maybe we have one more week, right? Maybe we got one more week of no one being happy. But then, of course, daily, bottom finder daily, going nuts. Going nuts, starting to close, still not fully closed, excuse me. Interesting, but lots of signal here. Interestingly, on the daily, we didn't really get much of a signal prior to our move for Q2 earnings. But very, very large signal there. Very large signal in the daily. Very interesting. RIP indeed. Active Rehab Mobility. What's up? Active Rehab Mobility asks, is there a reason why they need GME so low? S&P goes down, we go down. S&P goes up, we still go down. I mean, the main theory that gets touted out, right, is swaps. They have to roll swaps. They want swaps priced optimally. Maybe there are legacy swaps. Maybe there's new swaps. Whatever, whoever it is, whoever the party is, whoever the counterparty is, there's some desire to have these swaps priced or rolled or closed out or whatever it is. And if these are 2-year swaps, right? Or if these are swaps from 2023, if these are 18-month swaps going back to that May bottom, that $17 May bottom or something like that. Is it possible these are 14-month swaps going back to September of last year? I guess maybe. I tried to ask some folks about whether that was going to be how likely it would be that there are 14-month swaps. They're not. They do exist. They're not super common. But if you guys had a chance, I'm not sure you had a chance, everybody, to check out my my little post here, a little bit of tinfoil. But it occurred to me today when I was taking a look at this Tetris thing again. I realized I was like, oh hey, yeah, isn't that technique that you use? So like, there's a certain technique where you hold the way you hold the Tetris controller, and you like, you like get your hand like whatever, so you can, you know, rotate the piece very quickly, and you sort of like use this technique which is called rolling, and it lets you rotate the piece very, very quickly. And you basically need to just kind of in the zone be rotating this thing when Tetris is going at the highest speed. And it's basically the only technique that reliably allows you to last for an extended period of time in like this perma endgame state in Tetris, because it gets to a point where it doesn't get faster, right? And so if you just, that's the end game state, and only a matter of time if you're using the controls in a regular way, in a traditional way. But if you use the rolling technique, you can it gives you a little bit more of an edge. So it's all about you just maintaining your concentration in this end game state. And as long as you maintain your concentration, then you can just keep rolling. So I thought, like, okay, is this possibly, is this Tetris meme, is he referring to swaps being rolled? Is that what this suggests? I don't know. The thing about memes is they can be multivariate, polysemous, and otherwise intend to mean more than one thing. And especially draw speculation as well in order to demonstrate a fair amount of plausible deniability. So who knows? Who knows what the intention was there with that? We won't know without any additional evidence. Super cool if you sold 20.5 at the peak today. Very cool if you did. All your calls are belong to us. How we doing? What's our price? Do we dip below? We're super close. We're close, guys. Ooh, excuse me. Did we dip below 20? We very briefly did just a little while ago. Then we went back above. Yeah, the warrants don't move too much, eh? Very interesting. Get that 1999. Drive all these options out of the money, man. There. Oh, he's trying. They might do it. 2 standard deviations below VWAP is 1990 right now, so they could do it if they get a move, if they get a push down, if they get a shove right now. Give it like 10, 12 more minutes, and then really give it the shove. Just, I mean, from a certain perspective, it's also like, wow, they can really, like, you see how buoyant it is to basically come back up to what should otherwise be the minimum price, right? Like, we talked about, I think I talked about it a little bit this week, and I talked about it last week. Somebody showed me Greg's chart here, Greg's cash floor thing. Yeah, I'm not sure how often it updates, but it's at 2040. I mean, Bitcoin did kind of fall off end of this week, so understandably that we're a little bit lower. But it's interesting to see that it just keeps coming back up, right? Um, we don't run down and then like come back to 20. It's like, no, we at least at some point during the day we come back up. We come back up to what that value would be. So just very interesting to keep seeing that and seeing that kind of 2040-ish value just keep coming back. Very interesting. Was there a market maker that failed on October 10th? I don't know this. Very interesting if they're liquidating all their crypto. Oh, interesting. BMT saw an interesting post saying that hedge funds didn't have enough ways to hedge crypto to the downside, so they shorted companies that held crypto as a hedge. Wouldn't be surprised. Saw, dude. Han's Heatseeker. No, I don't know that. Do you mean Han Akamatsu? Yeah, I don't know his indicator there. Okay. Oh yeah, Ripper definitely ran dry again. Um, I would say on top of that, Dayswag. Um, Dayswag makes a good point here. We also have so much, like we still have these really persistent levels of off exchange volume. Like, look at this. Nearly 60% of our daily volume is off exchange. So when it says, "Oh, we traded whatever it is, 4 million shares today," like most of that is off exchange. So we're lucky if we're clearing 2 mil in lit volume per day, which is so low. It's so low. Oh, that's funny. So Hans Heatseeker is taking the Gex chart on Unusual Whale and showing in a different UI. That's funny. Yeah, to tell you the truth, like I don't really know. Listen, it's tough, right? Like it's I don't necessarily want to bash the dude, but like it's difficult necessarily to trust people who are like have AI. If you're an AI generated floating face, that's one thing. I mean, hey, Ultimator is also an AI generated floating face. But Ultimator puts out a lot of value for free, right? He puts out like, if the thing is like, hey, I'm not going to show you my face or give you my real name, I'm going to be this, online persona or whatever. But it's okay. I just want to remain anonymous. Here's all this free value. Okay, right? Like that's one thing. But if it's also like, hey, I'm going to be an anonymous, floating, free face, also sign up for my paid whatever, this, that. It's like, not sure exactly what you're doing there, but you know, it's just, it can be a little tough. That's all. Maybe some of you guys do pay for his service and have good luck with that. I don't know, but I just, you know, that's my orientation. Yeah. So obviously, right, some of these deeper signals, deeper patterns, good stuff to look at. Um, if like I said, right, part of the thing I think that makes me feel good about the situation is that, okay, why am I staring at 19 whatever and not panicking and not having a terrible time? It's like, well, if it goes much lower, like something really huge happens, right? So it's like either we're gonna recover, into this zone, into kind of like the sub 25 area right here, have good earnings, what have you. Or if we go lower, it just means that like we, you know, we super blow up. Um yeah, that's the thing. I'm not Some other people have sent that to me too. I'm not seeing the same pattern necessarily as compared to 2024. So, what part in particular, and I could, right, like you could be right. Um, Rad TDD 100, you could be right. But what is the portion that you think is doing that? Because when I look at this, I say, okay, this, to me, I see more similarity with 2023. I'm also, like I said, part of the reason I called out that monthly signal is like, okay, maybe part of the reason why this ended up being a requel in 2024 was because we got one of those super deep signals. We had some super deep signal, like way out on the monthly chart. We're not really seeing that stuff right now. So what do you see that makes you go, this is the same as 2024? Genuinely curious. And as far would why would Cohen issue the warrants at 32? Yeah, right. Keep in mind they're for a year. So Cohen may have some insight into how he thinks stuff's going to go. He may have news to reveal in March. If this earnings is good, if March earnings is good, strong chance we see 32 again in June, right? That's very possible. We could go back. Yeah. He did mention Beckett. Um, Look again. There was some genuine excitement because of, and I understand this from Ultimator's perspective. What was what was going on? Um, you know, what was going on with Ultimator's indicators? What we were seeing in terms of the daily thing. Richard was very excited about what Becca Cat was doing. I mean, fair enough. It was very interesting to engage with his materials. Um, I just, I wouldn't decry foul play so much as I would just say, like, some folks got excited. That's all. Yeah, I'll have to ask him a little bit about that. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe he'd be open to. I mean, part of it is it shares. Part of it is it does metals and something else. It does gold. It does silver. It does. I forget what else it does. Um, yeah, SPY and Bitcoin did drop. Um, how much though? I guess is an open question. Um, so from March to April, what kind of correction did we have? 524 down to 497. That's maybe like a 6-ish% correction down to the 20-minute. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is a 20-week moving average correction here and here. Okay. That lasted 3 weeks, and this is now 3 to 4. So if we bounce up off of here and then continue back up, like, okay. Let's see. What did Bitcoin do? Um, Bitcoin looked considerably better in March and April. So I would say this is a much steeper Bitcoin correction. So I would not say Bitcoin looks similar. So did Kitty tweet? Did we get a roaring Kitty tweet? That'd be cool. I would expect the stock to explode if he tweeted. Did he not? Yeah. I'll be keeping it a secret. Hello, that talk. Yeah, I would say last year kind of reminded me more of 2020. Again, I'm not. Yeah, some folks who sent me that. I'm not seeing the 2020 parallels. I'm not seeing it look like 2020. I'm not seeing it look like 2024. Um, maybe if you could point out some more specific signals or moments where you see the parallel, we could take a look. I haven't seen anything in particular that I would say looks to be the case there. But right, this is why it's important to get fresh perspectives and sort of balance. Get an idea what eyes are other people looking at this situation with. So if you have some ideas, please share them. Interesting. Yeah, let's take a look at the Len pool real quick. It's very high. It's up. Yeah, Guido's right. It's up. Fee is up 0.5%, but not relative to. It's not really up. A little bit. Yeah, it got me. Oh, I did the thing. I don't know what you're talking about. I look at the RSI patterns. I'm not seeing which time frame, daily time frame. I'm not seeing. Not seeing us really look like 2020 right now. Um, Daily RSI is not really looking to me like. Um, Weekly, not really seeing it. 2016, not bad. 2014, what we got print there? Yeah, not quite seeing it on RSI. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes right there are kind of fractal things, or it does point to something going on with swaps. Like last year looked like 2020 to me. Last year looks like we had a 2020 fractal. Okay. And basically the way that I interpreted the tweets was that Roaring Kitty was trying to go for a requel. Um, it essentially, let's bring this up. We'll do the comparison. Let's make this a little bigger. Last year was our shot at a 2020 scenario. Okay. If we look at 2020 and what characterized 2020, if you just look at price action, we had this kind of pistol formation. Okay. Right? Dip into April, pistol formation. Okay. Move up, and then we form kind of this long, deep, kind of listing down wedge. If you zoom, like, if you look at what we're doing super zoomed out, like, yeah, you can juxtapose this kind of flag pattern, and then then we started to get this stuff. But last year did look like that, right? We had this big move up, and then we started to go up toward the end of the year, and then but instead of really taking off, we just went down. This thing, right? So if we come out here, we can see up, pistol, flat, 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 started to move up, and then right when we looked like we were going to start to go and do the Do the requel thing again. Up, fall off a cliff. And then right around here, January 22nd, is when we got the I will wait for you tweet from Roy Kitty. So basically, at that point, what I thought was we had this shot to do this, and then something needed to happen, right? Ryan Cohen needed to do something. Something needed to take place here. It didn't. And so, down we go. There may be a case to say that we're in a super long, really stretched out 2020 pistol and like Dorito thing, which maybe. But that's basically how I've seen it. Again, we go to the weekly. Here's 2020. This. This is 2020. That doesn't look a lot like what we're looking at now, to me. The pistol kind of fades. Doesn't really look like it to me. I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to go up. Going up would be cool. Super up would be even cooler. But I'm not seeing the 2020 parallel right now. Damn, we're mooning. What? Yeah, 2018, man. MOAS confirmed. Hey, cheers, Johnny. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's the thing. I just, I want to let's just talk about this. Try to be level-headed. Try to make sense of what's going on. Listen to people's different theories, even the stuff that sounds out there. Give it a shot, try it on, because you never know, right? You never know what trying on those eyes is gonna come up with. And the thing about looking through a particular perspective is it's like, okay, say 95% of it doesn't work, but maybe you find 5% that does. That's worth keeping in your back pocket, right? Because then, okay, go get somebody else. Maybe they have, another 95% that doesn't work, but 5% that does. Add those two together, right? Okay, now you're a little bit better, right? And so, this is the way you do it. You keep looking at it. You keep trying to build different perspectives on it. You try to find stuff that works. You try to recombine things like that, and try to get something that makes sense. Because I'm certainly not an expert, so this kind of crowdsourcing thing is the only the only way. Yeah, that's how I learned all this stuff, right? So, I want to hear. That's the thing. You have ideas. I want to hear them. I want to talk about them, and I'll give you my honest opinion. It doesn't mean that I think, well, I think, you know, that I know that you're wrong or something like that. No, I don't know. I don't know. Just like I don't know that I'm right about anything that I think. But if it's a question of plausibility or saying this pattern looks like this pattern or something like that, I can always provide my opinion and my insight into whether I think that holds up or not. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, 1%. We're mooning. Yep. Yeah, more of a requel. 10 weeks of straight down. Yeah, more of a requel of the Thailand days. Thailand days were good, man. They're good in their own way. They're good in their own way. Do I think? Hello, Jorge. Do I think GME's recent price drop partially has to do with the crypto liquidation? People are selling GME because Bitcoin is going down and Bitcoin has GME has Bitcoin. I think I do think it's affecting the price of GameStop. I think it's affecting the price of GameStop insofar as because the price of Bitcoin is going down, and GME holds Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. That that algorithms are pricing GameStop down because of that. I think there's another possibility that companies like MicroStrategy are held in a common derivatives basket with GameStop. And so if MicroStrategy is being very heavily shorted, which it, shorted, sold off, whatever it is, priced down because of the sell-off in Bitcoin, which makes sense. GameStop may be suffering some sort of secondary downward pressure as a result of that. So that's yeah. When the liquidation event is over, GME could rebound from the Bitcoin rebound. Absolutely, I agree with you on that. I think that sounds plausible. I think Roaring Kitty was a Democratic psyop. Man, I don't know. I don't know, man. I think that's a little much, but I don't know anything about him, so that too the reason the stock is down. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Just kidding. Oh, dude, nice. Dr. Geppetta, that's a cool name. Yeah, cash $22 cash secured put for early January is cool, man. It's probably a good trade. Sounds good. I did some. What did I do this week? I did a little bit more in terms of vertical spreads. So I have some, and it's small. It's like 5% of my portfolio. 5% is allocated towards in the money $20 calls for January OPEX, and then I sold $27 calls for the same expiry um, for that same expiry, $27 calls. So I did that. I started entering that position back when we were actually at 21. Um, oh, mosquito. Gotcha. This guy has been keeping me up. Got you, you bastard. Middle of the night, biting me. It's the worst. It like waking me up in the middle of the night because I got so many mosquito bites in wild places. She is finally dead. Dormant, coming out after midnight, draining my blood. Unreal. Jimmy going to have record earnings. The IV is starting to clock up. So he's going by 24, 26 over the next 3 weeks into and out of earnings. Possible explosion in the 30s. That's my call. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Bought some 22 Jan 26 calls, 150 each. Might just sell them. I mean, you got some time on those. Those are only just barely out of the money. Let it ride. Let it ride. Not trade advice, but yeah. Of a ton of my port in $22 weekly cash secured puts right now, but I wish I didn't so I could scoop up some Mastercoin bull while it's low. Love GME, but feels bad to be stuck in it while it's being suppressed. Yeah, it does feel bad. I know, man. Welcome to the club, dude. Y'all know the game, but that's GameStop. Hey, one of these days, right? Cuffs will be off. It'll be time. It'll be time to take to the sky once again. Return to our heavenly home. Back in the land above $30. Very cool. Yeah, but earnings will be good. I'm with Rad TDD 100 here. I think, I think Q3 earnings is going to be good. Q4 earnings, I think, is going to be good. I think we see a minor price up. We will see a price up. We'll see some volatility, I think, with Q3 earnings. But I think the bigger move will come from Q4 when we get the annualized price up. And of course, we'll see if there's any material news from the company. Hopefully, I imagine we'll start to hear about their plans for doing games as collectibles. It'll be very cool. Oh, Power Packs. Very curious to see how that's going to look. Very curious to see how Power Packs is going to look. Yeah, I want to see that revenue. That'd be very cool. Yes, indeed. So yeah, that's what it's looking like for us. I mean, the unfortunate part about this stuff is just having to like gut through this. But yeah, basically my outlook is like if they push us down much farther, it's going to start to trigger some of these much deeper signals. In which case, I think start stuff. There is a chance for something maybe hyper dynamic in the short term. I mean, I shouldn't say short term, medium term, like March into June or something. Which I think there's going to be a run of some kind anyway. But if they really push us into like 18 or 17, then I think maybe we start to get into that like, ooh, very interesting territory. So that's why when I see this stuff, when I see how far they push us down, it doesn't. It's like, oh, this is interesting because this means, all right, yeah, it means I have to wait, but it means that when we do come back up, like we're gonna really come back up. Yeah, interesting. 200 million revenue for the quarter. That'd be cool. 500 million Q3, Q4 to end the year at 30 revenue from collectibles. That'd be very cool. The collectibles pivot, the collectibles pivot will be good because they will add they will price us differently. GameStop right now is not, I don't think is priced, right? It's priced as a specialty retailer, fine. But if you're in the collectibles business and you're taking advantage of speculation, I think that should warrant a higher multiple. That should warrant a higher multiple, and it should warrant a growth multiple too. We already know Wall Street's bullish on Pokemon cards. So, hey, cheers, Jorge. I'm glad. I'm glad, man. I'm glad it's helpful. I'm glad you stopped by tonight. Yeah, that's right. Obsessively gaming. Earnings forces the revaluation of GameStop. Forces it. Yep. Alternative asset class and graded cards. It's coming up. It's coming up. Just gonna have to wait a little bit. That's all. Cheers, Rad TDD 100. Glad you could stop by tonight. I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Thanks as always for stopping by. Thanks for a great week. Tough to see those 19s. Don't always love it, but like I said, the lower they push us, it just means that's the higher we come back up on the other side of things. Um, so cheers, everybody. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.